Okay, right. In today's videos, to continue, I'm talking now about David Rock's SCARF model. And the SCARF model is used when you can recognize people have been triggered. And there are 5 points to have a conversation with your client about as to what part of their mind, their amygdala, is under threat. So, for example, the first one is S, status. Is my status under threat? So, if my wife came home to me and said, David, I want a divorce, I would freak out because my status as a husband is going to be under threat. Or in the workplace, there's going to be redundancies. My status is under threat. Where I am and how I rank is threatened. The next thing is C, is for certainty. Human beings like to know what's going to happen. So when there's an event of change that's going to happen, it's always important to explain, to try and get people to understand and to talk to the part of them that is feeling uncertain. The third one is A, for autonomy. Human beings like to come up with their own solutions to their own problems. They don't actually like being told what to do. So, autonomy. Relatedness is the next one. People need to understand what is going on, why changes are happening, so that they can relate to it. So in families of alcoholics or addicts, often people don't relate to the behavior of their loved one. And then the last one is F, is for fairness. People like to be treated fairly. So where this model comes from, it comes from the executive boardroom. And what would happen is executives would go off on planning weekends. They go and plan changes for the company. They'd align themselves around the strategy. And then they'd go back to the workplace on a Monday and with this wonderful plan. And then they couldn't work out why the plans weren't being executed. So on the weekends they look really good on paper. But when you go back and try and execute that plan to the workforce, there's a problem. And the reason this is happening is people in the workforce are getting triggered. So a leader comes along and says, these are the changes we're going to make, and then the workforce often get kind of freaked out. So are there going to be job cuts? What's going to happen in my future? I've got no say in this. I don't relate and understand why the changes are happening, and this is unfair. So what would happen is when a workforce gets triggered like this, they stay stuck and there's no change that's happening. And once you learn how to communicate with people, that they can calm down, and you as the executive can explain what is going on, what's going to happen, and you talk to the freaked out employee, they tend to calm down, and then we can go off and change happens. So it's just the same in the addictive environment. We ask our clients to change their behavior, to stop a role. Their status is changing. I used to be seen as a bad addict, but I got a lot of identity around that. Now I'm going to be seen as a goody two-shoes. Shit, what are people going to think of me? Certainty, what's my life going to look like now? Autonomy, I don't have any say in this recovery. It's being forced on me. I don't want to do it. Relatedness, I don't understand why this is happening. I don't understand that I've got an illness. This is really unfair. And whatever the conversation is, so you as recovery coaches, when you're starting to talk to your clients about stopping or staying stopped, or the family members or whatever it is, you should be able to see when they're freaked out, when they're triggered, and then have a conversation. You have a conversation to work around the mask space to calm the person down. So just to recap, we try to have adult-to-adult conversations based on Eric Berne's work. We use a SCARF model, which is David Rock's model, to bring the brain back so that it can think with the prefrontal cortex. And then we use Daniel Siegel and his concept of mindsight, where we're able to see how we are operating and how our clients are operating, and then we can start to have attuned relationships. So those are 3 things we want you to get across. And that but you as a coach, you take control of the relationship and the mass space. So you meet, you contract, you decide what the nature of the relationship's going to be. You're going to coach that person's going to pay you. That fulfills my kokorozashi, and hopefully in the conversation you'll be able to align your client to their kokorozashi, and they can then go off and have an empowered life based on what they want and the choices that they want to make in their lives. And that's where we're going to today. Thank you very much.